Not looking good. Remember how tariffs were supposed to save U.S. manufacturing? We have seen a boom in manufacturing investment since the passage of the Bipartisan CHIPS Act. However, the trend is now reversed. Lots of things changing in the economy right now. Consumer inflation expectations just came in and they're unhinged. This is the highest they've been since 1981. Far higher than they were at the peak of the last inflation episode. That's when we peaked at 9% annual inflation in June 2022. So why does this matter? Expectations are not the same thing as reality, but inflation expectations lead to people expecting higher prices in their contracts. And once those higher priced contracts get fulfilled, boom, inflation in reality. We've had a huge reshuffling this week in the composition of the tariffs. The 46% tariff on Vietnam went away, but China's are now at 145 and maybe higher now. It's hard to keep track. So overall, it was expected to be an average of 26.8% tariff for all imports. It is now elevated to 27%. This is not a 90-day pause. This is not a relief. It was actually an escalation just released a new working paper that is estimating the long-term effects of the Liberation Day tariffs. They emphasize the long run, so they're not talking about the short-run dynamics from the labor market frictions, the supply chain restructurings, the international relationships building cost, and also the added uncertainty. So this model is not doing any of that. It's not including any of the short-term pains, but maybe we'll be able to estimate long-term gain, except there aren't any. There are no long-term gains. Employment, once we take into account the retaliation from other countries, will decline in the long run. Trade is going to fall by half or even up to 60%, both imports and our exports. And then the U.S. total welfare in the economy, that's all the consumer surplus, all the producer surplus, etc. That's expected to decline. This is the long run. There is no long-term gain. And speaking of the short run, consumer sentiment has declined to its lowest level in a minute. It is now around tied what it was back at the peak of inflation. All that progress we made in 2023 and 2024 erased. Now, the worry here is this could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If consumers are feeling less confident, they will buy less, and that could lead to a worsening of a recession. In another dent to that so-called plan that we should intentionally cause a recession in order to lower interest rates, in order to refinance government debt, the interest rate for government debt is now trending the opposite. Master plan not working. There's another worrying trend shift. The U.S. dollar index is falling while the 10-year Treasury yields are increasing. Now, I mean, if you look at the levels so far, I mean, it's only been like a day or two. We're not experiencing anything crazy. I mean, this is something we've seen in just the past few years. The worry is the split in the trend. This is indicative of a relationship and trust break. The global economy no longer trusts the United States economy to fulfill its contracts, to be a safe haven, and all of the quote-unquote exorbitant privilege that the United States economy has enjoyed over the past generations is under threat. Next, the uncertainty has exploded recently. The U.S. Economic Policy Uncertainty Index is twice as high as what it was during the global pandemic and towering over anything we saw during the financial crisis. Now, why does this matter? None of the models I have showed on this channel so far explicitly incorporate this added uncertainty into the macroeconomic effects. Higher uncertainty means less investment, means less long-run economic growth, and means more chances of a recession today. This is why a so-called 90-day pause, I think, is far more costly to the economy than beneficial to it. And hey, before those tariffs go into effect, go shopping. I told my whole family last night, we gotta go clothes shopping now, before all these imported prices go up. You know, we even have a trade surplus with Guatemala. And oh man, prices from China are gonna more than double. I think we might have lost Grandma. She's still in the store.